Hello, Commander players. This is Jumbo Commander, and today I have something a little bit different for you. I have a Commander deck with 2 cards in it. No. I actually have a Commander deck with really no cards in it. I have a Selvala Explore Return deck, and I have no idea what's going to go in this deck. What I'm going to try to do is sort of stream style the building process of how I come to form a deck from literally one commander all the way to a finished deck, which means that this will be a little bit of a rough video. It's not going to be very polished. It's going to be pretty long as you watch me stumble through selecting cards and watch my thought process as I try to eliminate cards and sort of brainstorm. And hopefully, if I do this correctly, you'll be interested in hearing what I say. And also, you'll kind of learn something about the creative process, or you'll learn something about how to build a commander deck from nothing. Gebasis. This is good. This is good YouTube right here. This is good watching me misspell stuff slowly into tapped out. So this could be a wonderful thing full of insight, or it could be long and rambly. We'll see. If you guys hate it, that's totally cool. Hopefully it'll be an awesome deck regardless of the process. So let's take a look at Selvala Explorer Returned. Selvala Explorer Returned is a Selesnya commander, 1 green and a white for a 2/4 elf scout. Elf is a very relevant creature type. Parlay. Basically, when you tap Selvala, you add a green for every non-land card revealed and gain a life. Okay. And then each player draws a card. All right. So this is kind of a group huggy ability, but it's actually really powerful because you get card draw and mana ramp on a single creature. But that wasn't what drove me toward Selvala. In fact, there are a lot of really cool Selesnya commanders. I have EDHREC right here, which has all the most popular commanders in the Selesnya colors. And I used to have a Tristani, Selesnya's voice deck. And it was cool. But I broke it apart. It was just a big tokens deck, and I stole some of the good cards from it. I just wasn't playing it as much. It just wasn't very fun. Okay, I'm not saying the big tokens decks aren't fun, just I wasn't having fun with it. And so I decided I didn't want a tokens build for my Selesnya deck. So Tristani's out, Reese is out, Tolsimir is out. Okay. I also decided I didn't want really a Voltron deck, so Sigarda was kind of out, and so was Krond. A little bit of a different type of Voltron, but still. And then I was thinking, okay, Karametra is very cool. I like that. There's a lot of flexibility to that card. A good friend of mine has a Karametra Enchantress deck, and I already have an Enchantress deck, although Karametra can just be a pretty good deck. But speaking of good stuff, Captain Sisay is an excellent card. Maybe I'll put Captain Sisay in this Selvala deck, because I really like Captain Sisay. But it ends up being a toolboxy legend deck. Not for me. This Sigarda is kind of a human tribal. I just recently did a Samut deck tech on human tribal. That was way cooler than just a green-white version. Gaddock Teague is just mean and pretty powerful though. Safi is more of a combo-centric deck. And that kind of fills out these top slots of creatures and commanders that I'm really interested in. So it kind of got distilled down till Selvala for this interesting sort of part combo, part mana ramp, part group hug kind of deck, and it made me really excited. So I'm going to attempt to brainstorm this deck right now. Now, what most people will do is they would just click on this Selvala Explorer Returned and immediately see what everyone else is doing. And I'm going to restrain myself. I'm going to refrain from doing it not because EDHREC is bad. I think EDHREC is great, and eventually I will come back and check everything with EDHREC. But I found that I'm more creative if I'm not given suggestions. And actually, this is something that kind of be applied to the rest of your life. If you're trying to problem solve, or you're trying to be creative, a lot of times it's better to just put your mind to it and try and figure it out yourself, rather than sort of looking on the internet or trying to be handed stuff. Because what's going to happen is if I click on that Selvala Explorer Returned, I'm going to see a bunch of great ideas. And they are going to be great. And then I'm going to focus in on those great ideas and not explore maybe a stupid idea, but a fun idea that I might have on my own. Or maybe even a good idea. I'm not saying that I'm going to come up with a better idea than everyone else that's coming up with ideas for this deck, but I might come up with one that I like more. So I'm going to just wait and click on that link later and double check all of my stuff. And I guarantee I will pull cards from the EDHREC for Selvala. But for now, I'm not going to. Instead, I'm going to go back to this Selvala stream experiment and take a look at my cards. So I did one take of this already, and I realized that adding cards into Tapped Out live with you guys watching me is awful. It's just so slow, and you hear me typing the whole time. It's just not very fun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video, and you're going to magically jump to me having a few cards loaded in, and then I'll explain my thought process to you. All right, I added a few cards in here. Let's take a look at this deck now. And these were actually some of the cards that really got me thinking about Selvala. The first up was Paradox Engine. I really wanted a deck that could take advantage of Paradox Engine. I know, you just stick it in any deck and it takes advantage of it. But I didn't want to just win the game. I kind of wanted to do crazy stuff. I don't know. So I wanted some Paradox Engine, but more importantly, I wanted Alhammer's Archive. I had Alhammer's Archive in my Uncle Karlov of the Ghost Council or whatever, deck, and it was really fun, but it was super slow. I ended up never playing it, really. I had to take it out. But I still really wanted it in a commander deck, and it goes so well in this one. That was one of my first ideas, and that's kind of how ideas start for me. I look at a commander, and then I kind of say, well, okay, what do I want to do? And I really wanted to do this little combination of, hey, I want to gain double the life and draw 2 cards. That's something that I really want to do. And it also helps out a lot because there's mana ramp that can get this down. Paradox Engine can untap this, and then I can draw more cards and gain more life and stuff. It sounds kind of fun. It sounds like a cool engine that would be really enjoyable. So this is how most of the decks start. I see an interaction, I play against a deck, or I see something silly and I decide I want to do it. So this is sort of the combo suite, and this came from actually an elf deck that I already have. It's a... where's my deck? It's an Azuri Renegade Leader deck. Okay, and it's all elves, and it's pretty powerful. And one thing I don't want to do is make another copy of that deck. And that deck does run Staff of Domination, Sword of Params. I don't know if it runs Thousand Year Elixir. It runs Umbral Mantle. And it will go infinite with one of the multiple mana tappers that they have for elves. Priest of Titania or one of those druids. And it just creates infinite mana, and then you get an infinitely big Azuri as you overrun your entire team. It's a very good deck, but I don't want 2 of them. So one thing I don't want to do is I don't want this to be sort of an infinite mana combo deck. I don't want it to be all about that. And I don't want it to be an elf deck either. So I'm 50-50 on the staff, the sword, and the mantle. I do like Thousand Year Elixir. It doesn't go infinite. It's just a one-time untap, and you can instantly do it. I think that staff... I don't know what I think about staff. But I'm going to save these in here for now and see what I can do with them. So immediately what I'm thinking of is that if I do have stuff like Paradox Engine or Thousand Year Elixir, I want other things besides my commander that tap for mana or tap for good stuff. So I'm thinking that I want sort of a creature base. One thing that I'm going to keep in the back of my head is that when I'm double checking with EDHREC, I'm going to want to check for Selvala Heart of the Wilds and this Selvala too, because a lot of the mechanics are going to be the same for each of these. But I like this Selvala because this one can kind of work with these untappers as well. So where am I right now? I am on MTG Info, okay? And it's great. I love MTG Info. The reason why I like it is because it has prices on it, and the card art is a little bit bigger than Gatherer, so it's easier to use for videos. So what I'm doing right here is I'm searching the rules text, the Oracle, and I'm looking for things in green and white that untap target. Okay. What I really wanted to do is untap target creature, but I could have it untap target permanent as well. I know I'm going to get some untap target lands in here, but maybe just untap target is good enough. No, I'm not going to look through 172 things, so I'm going to go back. And I'm going to do creature. I reduced it by like a tiny amount, by like 30. We can see here it's untapped target creature, things like aim high. I want repeatable effects. I don't want once-off effects. So it could be worth it to go through all of these. Go through it pretty quickly. I wonder how quickly I can go through this. One thing that's really good about playing Magic for a long time and doing a lot of deck building is that I can kind of look through this pretty quickly and I recognize most of the cards. Earthcraft might be very good. I don't know if this is. I'm just going to put Earthcraft in the maybe board. If I'm having a lot of creatures out there and I'm looking for untapping and tapping abilities and mana abilities and stuff, this is actually the thing is Earthcraft is kind of like a Cryptolith Rite, and I'm thinking I should probably add Cryptolith Rite. At this point, I saw an Endbringer in the list and decided to take a look at untap effects. Imagine Seedborn Muse right here, which says untap all permanents you control during each other player's untap step. That could basically allow you to Selvala every single turn, just flooding the board with cards. That sounds like it'd be pretty cool. So then I spend a little bit of time talking about how untapping lands can be really powerful, but not in this deck. I think about adding Huntmaster of the Fells because I like the idea of tapping and untapping puppy dogs, and then I geek out about Rebecca Gay and talk about how awesome her art is. Then I tell you how cool Preacher is before I run into... Oh, Curian Ranger! There we go. For a second I was like, am I going to search through all of this stuff and find literally nothing? And Curian Ranger is exactly the type of effect that I was looking for. So Curian Ranger is going to... Ooh, this Scrib... Actually, I remember this Scrib Ranger. The Scrib Ranger is good. It can return... Oh, this is good. Okay. Scrib Ranger. And I remember where I've seen these sort of tap-untap effects. And that's with Yisan, the Wandering Bard. So when I do go to EDHREC, I will look up Yisan and try to find out. This could be kind of cool if I have a lot of, if I have a lot of mana and I have the ability to untap things, I can just keep like putting verse counters on. I mean, this could be like a very creature heavy deck, and it should be a creature heavy deck because Cryptolith Rite is kind of a good ability, because I like Cryptolith Rite a lot and I should move Earthcraft over. Because what happens is that you tap all your stuff for mana, even if it's something silly like a Scrib Ranger or, this Curian Ranger or something like that, then you Paradox Engine and everything untaps. Or you Seedborn Muse and everything untaps. If I'm untapping a lot, should I try to play at instant speed? Probably, which means I should probably put an Orrery in here. Of the Vidalcan kind, not a Gurp or Orrery. I have something else in my head. It's about untapping. Scrib Ranger put it into my head. And by the way, more inspiration from Rebecca. Look at that art. Amazing. Ooh, untap target creature. Do you know what? This seems like it'd be pretty solid. Just a Seeker of Skybreak. Solid, just untap target creature. I think we're going to have enough creatures that tap to do something cool to make this work. So let's add the Seeker. One thing that I did kind of think of when I was doing this is... So here's the thing. you will thinking about so many cards and looking at so many cards, you will lose your mind. So being able to like quickly look things up, it's Captain Sisse. Okay. But being able to quickly look things up just from knowing the ability is really important. Of course, I know what Captain Sisse is, but it slipped my mind. So if you can easily go into MTG, like you can easily look things up by going through the advanced tab, then you can kind of see. So what did I do? I just chose required multicolor white green. It's a creature. I probably could have put in the mana cost, 2, green white, things like that, and then put in other stuff and then search, and then magically it kind of comes up, Captain Sisse. So you don't always have to know what every single creature is if you get good at using this stuff. Ooh. Yeah, Wirewood Lodge. This is a great card in my other deck, but this just belongs in here. But I think it's unique enough, especially with this like Yisan sort of package thing going on here. I think I have so much green. One thing I like to do is at least have like a quarter of this be white, because otherwise I feel like I shouldn't even be building a mono green deck. So I've gone through a lot of the tap untap stuff, and there's less things than I thought. I have a feeling that untapping a permanent is more of like a blue ability, because I know that there's Fate Stitcher and Kiora's Follower and like Ral Zarek and stuff like that. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I used to have Time Vault in my cube, and I did look at everything that can untap a permanent or untap an artifact, and there aren't a lot of things that do a really good job at it. So I'm feeling pretty confident that I did the right search terms, because sometimes you'll do a series of search terms and you think you get all the cards, and really you just didn't quite put everything in right. Maybe it has to do with Oracle text, maybe it has to do with just what exactly you searched for. Let me see if I can add maybe a few more mana dorks. So usually there's a few different ways I like to build mana bases. You need ramp. So there's spell-based ramp, artifact-based ramp, and creature-based ramp. Creature-based ramp is very dangerous because creatures are so fragile. They're so easy to be disrupted. And people don't disrupt your mana base in the form of lands. They will wipe away your Birds of Paradise and your Selvala Heart of the Wilds, but they won't play Blood Moon, or at least in my meta they won't. So a Farseek is much safer than, Birds of Paradise. But I think in this I want to go creature heavy, and I'm wondering exactly how to do it. I think I want to go creature heavy because of things like Cryptolith Rite and Earthcraft and Paradox Engine. I want to keep that engine going, and I want to stay very lean on the artifacts. Actually, I say that now and I already have like 7 artifacts over here. I think I want to stay lean on maybe the artifacts that have to do with ramp. I'm just kind of thinking. One of the reasons to stay lean on artifacts and enchantments is you can run really great stuff in green. Bane of Progress, or I could run the Austere Command or Fracturing Gust. All of those are really good cards that just wipe away your opponent's boards and could leave you relatively unscathed. I might still run some of that, especially if I cut down on the Sword of Perrin's, the Staff of Domination, and the Umbral Mantle to tone down the combo potential with Selvala. But I haven't quite decided that yet. Do you know what's a good compromise, actually? I was thinking about whether to go sort of spells, Cultivate Kadama's Reach, or whether to go creatures. Oracle of Moldiah is just an amazing card. And it gets lands onto the battlefield, but it does it by being a creature. And then that will go really well with Cryptolith Rite and Earthcraft. And actually, if I'm going creature heavy, why don't I add new Oracle of Moldiah? I'm gonna have to search again because I don't know what it is, but I do know it's a green creature that costs 3 and a green from Amonkhet. Search. There we go. Vizier of the Menagerie. See, this is actually pretty cool too. I'm kind of excited about that because like Vizier of the Menagerie will let us sort of manipulate the top of our library as well. And if we are comboing off, or if we have a lot of good interactions, we might be able to play a lot of stuff off the top of our library. And Selvala helps out with that because Selvala lets us draw from it. Being able to play with the top of our library is really cool. I think I might want to add Sensei's Divining Top as well if I'm going to be playing with the top of my library. Let's add that to the maybe board. That might be... Some people don't like top. I am fine with top. I top pretty quickly. So, you know, I think it's okay, but some people don't like it. I'll put it in the maybe board for now. But I do like the idea of playing with the top of my library a little bit. And if I've added an Oracle of Moldiah, I'll add a Courser of Krufix as well. One thing that is still bothering me is that I don't have any white cards. This is turning out to be a mono green deck. Look at that. Look at this chart. Maybe I need to refocus myself and sort of think of things in a different way, you know, because maybe my mind right now is just fixating. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it makes sense that I'm going more heavy green because Selvala produces green. I just have to make sure that my mana can support it. Avacyn's Pilgrim, I could add more elves. I'm wondering if that's the best idea. I would totally add another Birds of Paradise. Actually, now that I'm thinking about adding Birds of Paradise and stuff like that, I think I want a Gavany Township. I don't know where that came from. Maybe because I'm thinking like Birds of Paradise and Gavany Townships are like always, they seem to be always together. I would add a Noble Hierarch if I could. But that's kind of getting modern in my head a little bit. And to be fair, like the green-white modern stuff could be really good. But I got to get that out of my head and sort of refocus on this stuff. Let's see, I've just added a 1-drop and I have 2 other 1-drops as well. So I think I want to add Ranger of Eos. Ranger of Eos is one of my favorite cards, is a pet card. It's basically the white Muldrifter. It's amazing. I can find a lot of value about getting 1-drops, especially when I don't have to get just any 1-drop. I can get creature type. Let's go to creature type. I can get Hydras. And I don't think there's any white Hydras, but there's no shame in marking that. Let's see how many Hydras there are. Only 26 Hydras? There are only 26 Hydras in Magic? Did I do this right? The reason why I started thinking Hydras is because Ranger of Eos can get any Hydra that has sort of a 1 right here. Oh, Genesis Hydra. And also it gives us a place to invest all of our mana. Now, I know that I told you guys that I didn't want to jump ahead to win conditions, but I kind of just did it. I just kind of did it. Let's see here. So right now I start looking through Hydras. Mistcutter Hydra is a possibility, but really I'm going to focus on some Hydras like Protean Hydra that I can fetch with Ranger of Eos. Uvenwald Hydra is a new Hydra that I like a lot. Primordial Hydra can get really big and is an excellent mana sink. Maybe a better mana sink than a lot of the other Hydras. Okay, let's add Protean Hydra, Feral Hydra, Genesis Hydra. Let's add a Ranger of Eos and a few Hydras. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I'm liking this already. I'm liking the way this turned out. This is looking like it's pretty good. I wonder if there's some more things that can kind of combo with Selvala to give me a lot of mana. This Paradox Engine, I already looked up Untap though. Was Paradox Engine? Ooh, Untap all. So maybe I did, okay. So here's something that I might have done. I did Untap Target when I went and looked. I might want to just do Untap all and see if that is... So one thing that you could notice is that 72, that's a lot. hang on, I'm going to go back and then do untap all together in quotes. Okay, so if you do it in, basically if you do untap all, it'll put a comma in between, basically search for untap and all. If you do it in quotes, it'll do untap all together. And that's going to be important because I had too many results. So now I'm going to click again and we're going to have, yeah, 27 results. Yes, because it's going to say untap and all right next to each other. So right here, I'm looking at Awakening. It untaps not just for yourself, but for your opponent as well. I add it to the maybe board. It might be too powerful, too much of a downside. And then I start looking through other stuff. Bear Umber's really great. Benefactor's Draft is an instant, which means it's a one-time untap effect, which I'm not entirely convinced on, but I'm going to add it to the maybe board anyways. Neither one of these cards end up making the main deck. There we go. There's the Paradox engine that I was looking for. It's in here. It means that I'm searching for the right stuff. Untap all force and all green creatures. Play this ability only once each turn. Oh, Patron of the Orochi. It's got snake offering, so if I happen to have a snake, I can play this at instant speed. Is this worth it? 8 for a 7/7, and then I can untap everything. I mean, this is pretty powerful. Let's try it. Yeah, Quest for the Renewal is good. Quest for the Renewal is very good. Okay, good. I'm finding stuff I want in each of these colors. I like that. Now, that took a lot of searching for only a couple cards. I am pretty happy with it, this sort of stuff. I'm going to need to up my creature count substantially. And I can always find a lot of good creatures, especially things like acidic slime, hopefully some creatures that are actually in white. Hopefully eventually I will actually add a white creature to this mono green deck, because clearly that's exactly what this is. I do have a lot of, I have a lot of creatures. Let's turn our attention to a little bit of card draw. I want to add Lifecrafter's Bestiary. Lifecrafter's Bestiary, one of my new favorite cards. So thinking about card draw, I was thinking about green card draw, but then for some reason I was thinking I had like white on the mindset. And so I was thinking about white card draw. And as you know, white card draw sucks. But what I have in my white deck for card draw is Mind's Eye. That's in my mono white deck. And usually I don't like Mind's Eye because I'll show it to you. Mind's Eye. There you are. Okay. So whenever an opponent draws a card, you may pay 1 if you do draw a card. Okay. This costs 5, an additional 1 to sink into it. So in mono white deck, it's really scraping the bottom of the barrel because you're paying 6 for your first card, 7 for your second card, 8 for your third card, 9 for your fourth card, and 10 for your fifth card. Okay, so think about that. 10 mana for 5 cards, you're just barely getting there, and that means Mind's Eye has to be on the battlefield for so long, and you have to invest so much mana into it turn after turn after turn. I find it really underwhelming. But I just got super excited, okay? Whenever an opponent draws a card, you may pay 1 if you do draw a card. Okay, look at Selvala. Selvala will add the mana to your mana pool, and then each player draws a card. So this is amazing. So you tap Selvala, and you look at all their cards, and you add 3 mana, let's say, for all of their silly cards that they reveal, and then everyone draws a card. Mind's Eye will trigger for each of their cards drawing, and you can immediately invest Selvala's mana straight into Mind's Eye to draw 3 more cards. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. I like that. And also, it's something to do, like to invest with your mana as you untap things turn after turn after turn. This Quest for Renewal, and where did Seedborn Muse, and this all of this other stuff, the untappy stuff. Sorry, things switch around, the artifacts and the creatures switch around, and I'm getting lost a little bit. Paradox engine and stuff like that. All of the untapping can be a really big benefit if I have somewhere to sink my mana. That's very cool. I'm pretty excited about that interaction. Okay, so I'm tapping and untapping my mana. Let's see if I can get any advantage for tapping and untapping creatures or mana. Creatures. We want to do creatures. For each tapped creature. I don't know if that works or not. This might be a lot, but if I get a card out of this search, then I'm basically a genius, right? No, for each tapped creature. That's ridiculous. What does it? What does something for each time? So here's another thing that you can do is, that was a shot in the dark. That was stupid. But one thing that you can do is quest again. Yeah, quest is good. This, whenever a creature you control becomes tapped. I like this. So what you can do is you can take something from an oracle text and just copy it. And then what you can do is you can sort of spit the oracle text back out into here, and you can see what you get. I did not filter for colors. That's okay. Yeah, I didn't get anything very good. Just got the same stuff over and over again, but that's okay. You got to keep trying to find search terms. So what I want to do is I want to benefit for each time. Actually, there's a card, there's a green spell in Amonkhet that does this. Let's look at that oracle text. It's a green sorcery. Where's the type? Oh, it's over here. I'm smart. It's a green sorcery that gets lands based on the number of... There we go. Harvest season. Yeah. Maybe I want harvest season. Let's do that. Let's add harvest. That'd be kind of cool too. Now I have to make sure that my creature count is high. I'm kind of adding this before my creature count gets super high, but I like harvest season. That's pretty cool. What I was going to do is just use harvest season as a template. The number of tapped creatures. All right, let's look at the number of tapped creatures, just so what it says on harvest season. Let's search. I've already screwed up because there's a red card, but there's only 20 of these. That sounds bad. No, it has blue in it. Oh, a new card. Throne of the God-Pharaoh. At the beginning of your end step, each opponent loses life equal to the number of tapped. Yes. Yes. The search was good for something. Throne of the God-Pharaoh. You feel... So here's the thing. I know that you've been following me going through this for like 5 minutes trying to find a single card, but this makes things like really... Okay, let's finish this. Okay, this is the last card. No, I don't want that either. But this makes the search kind of worth it because this is a cool mechanic that I like a lot, that I have all of this sort of tapping and untapping ability going on here. The Cryptolith Rite and the Earthcraft and all of these creatures that end up being tapped and stuff like that. And hopefully I'll find other stuff that taps for profit. But then you add the Throne of the God-Pharaoh to it, and suddenly, like, I could tap 10 creatures, just all of them for Cryptolith Rite, or a bunch of them for mana or something like that, or for their cool activated abilities, and then boom, do a bunch of damage. That sounds really cool to me. I like that a lot. I wish that there are more effects like that. I'm wondering if I'm still doing the right search terms, but I feel like I am. So that's really good. So I've gone ahead and added a bunch of custom categories to this. And right now we can see that we have a lot of enablers. We have 11 enablers, 3 finishers, not enough finishers. We'll add the lands later. And then ramp, we have 8 pieces of ramp. That's pretty good. I am going to want, technically 9, I am going to want a little bit more ramp in here. I think that a lot of this ramp is a little bit like Cryptolith Rite and Earthcraft. Actually, this is pretty solid ramp. You can play them on 2. But the problem is that these don't actually ramp you into your commander or anything like that. Cryptolith Rite and Earthcraft, they ramp you, and Harvest Season, they ramp you way later in the game. Kind of Selvala too. This will ramp you for 1 at turn 4. It's not good enough. So a lot of these are really slow ramp, but they're powerful slow ramp. And then I look at all these enablers, and there's a lot of them. And they do work on a lot of other stuff. So Selvala Heart of the Wilds, they do work on that, and they also work on the other, where's my utility? Yisan the Wandering Bard. They are pretty good at activating both of those, which I do like. I like that these enablers work for all sorts of stuff. This does mean that I do want some element of protection, so I'm going to go ahead and add. Whenever I have equipment that I want, I usually throw in a Stoneforge Mystic, even though she's $15. But also Stoneforge Mystic will be really good if I do want to combo out with Sword of Params or Umbral Mantle. I have not quite decided whether these have earned their spot in it forever. I'm leaning toward yes now, because I'm thinking that these combo with Selvala way better than this Selvala. I have a feeling that sometimes I'm just going to pay 3 to untap this, and I'm only going to be able to do it once or twice, which I'm okay with. The same thing with this, like Selvala is not always going to give us a ton of mana. Like, we're going to be playing in a 4-player game, and you know, we get a non-land card and we're going to add green to our mana pool. We're going to get lands a lot off of our opponents, so we're not going to always be able to do 3. So this is not a 100% combo all the time, which means I'm a little bit more okay with it. When I'm playing the other elves, oh, it's a 100% combo every single time. I do like this protection that I added in here. It adds a little bit more utility. I like these. I need more finishers. Actually, now that I think about it, a good finisher for this deck that can produce a ton of mana that has a lot of permanence is Genesis Wave. I wonder if there's any life gain shenanigans that I could put in this deck, because I am going to be gaining a lot of life. Green-white does that really well. Let's go and see if there's any life gain stuff going on. I'm getting close to the point where I want to go over to EDHREC and just sort of get it solved for me, because I seem to be running into a few, stops here. I don't want a Johnny's Pridemate in the deck. I just don't want a beater that gets slightly bigger. But what I do want to do is look at the Oracle text to see what it says whenever you gain life. That's what I want to see. I want to see whenever you gain life. And I want it to be only white and green creatures. Ooh! Should I Aetherflux Reservoir, people? Let's put that in the maybe bard. Maybe I'm gonna Aetherflux Reservoir some people. That's a nice finisher. I'm gonna need to have more synergy, but if I do go off, I will gain a lot of life. That's really interesting. This just gets huge. This just gets, kind of huge. Let's see here. Archangel of Thune. Yeah. By the way, Archangel of Thune is way too expensive. $24. No, this needs. If you watch my other video about Commander 2017 Tribes, Angels need a reprint, and Archangel of Thune needs to be reprinted so that I can put her in this deck. Because I'm going to have a bunch of random little creatures, and that kind of makes them relevant. I like that. So here I look for a little bit more life gain, and then I realize this is not really a life gain deck. It's more like a life gain synergy that exists in sort of a normal value deck. This is such a powerful card. I might put this in. I like Primeval Bounty a lot. Let's put Primeval Bounty over here. And I'm gonna think about it, but I'm also gonna be thinking of these other artifacts and enchantments, like destroyers, like Bane of Progress, Austere Command, and Fracturing Gust. I'm kind of going into a different category of thinking right now, which is good. Maybe I'll go back to that other stuff right now, but I will need a little bit of control, because what I've done here is I'm made a commander that just fuels my opponent's hands. And that's pretty dangerous. You need to find some way to control your opponents, or else you're just going to give them a bunch of cards and hope that your janky strategy is better than theirs. No, like this is not a winning strategy for a lot of decks. That's why I think I might need to maybe find a way to control my opponent a little bit more. One thing I do is I have a lot of creatures, so let's make sure to add aura shards. It's just will destroy people. Aura shards is just fantastic. And then the other thing I want to make sure to add is let's go to a different one. Mana cost 1 white, and it's an enchantment, and 2 in the Oracle text. Let's see if it comes up. Aura of Silence. I am so good at Magic. I remember all of the names. Aura of Silence. So let's go and take a look at these, because Aura of Silence is very interesting because it's a taxation effect. And I might put in a few more taxation effects because I think that this is a really interesting interaction. Selvala, basically Selvala will give them cards, but if I can find a way to tax them or sort of threaten the cards that are already on the table, then I'm able to use the cards more often than they are. That's also why I think I need to have a lot more ramp than them, is because I need to be able to be using the cards while they're not using the cards. So I really like Aura of Silence. I really like Aura Shards as well. I'm wondering if this deserves a Thalia. Now I think I'm gonna do this Thalia. Ooh, I want Thalia's Lancers too. Now that I have that Thalia, I think Thalia's Lancers will be really good too. Thalia's Lancers. There we go. Now I think I like Thalia's Lancers now too, and that means that I can move Captain Sisay into the main board, because now I have Yisan the Wandering Bard. Thalia's Lancers will get this Thalia, can get this Selvala, and let's see what else we got here. Maybe I need more legendaries. Do you know what? I have not decided yet. Does it get any legend? It does get any legendary. I can get a Hammer's Archive. It's going in. Oh my god, I love it. Is this legendary too? Oh, guys, I did it. See, this is why you're watching the stream. To the 3 people that are still watching this, you have kind of witnessed how things happen, how things come together. And I really, really hope that this is not just sitting in plain sight on EDHREC. Hopefully this interaction is unique enough that it's just hard to find unless you're just kind of looking and building and being creative. Oh, I'm so happy, because I really want to play this. I was really excited about finding this. And then, oh man, this is so good. I'm not going to look at the EDHREC right now, but I can fetch, like, because I've decided that Captain Sisay is a thing and is going in my deck for sure. So I can fetch any of these legendary creatures. And I can fetch legendary creatures and other stuff too. Do I want Dramoka? Yeah, I think I do want Dramoka, because then I can kind of shut down some stuff, and it's got some life gain synergies. I like that. So I want a Dramoka in here as well. The right Dramoka. Dramoka the Eternal? Dragon Lord Dramoka? I think it's Dragon Lord Dramoka. Hopefully that's right. And then Nissa. Vastwood Seer? Yeah. Let's take a look at that and see if I got the right 2. Nissa Vastwood Seer has got a flip. Excellent. And let's see, Dragon Lord Dramoka. Yep, that's the right card as well. Sweet. I think I want a Cataclysmic Gearhulk. And I think I want that because I need a board wipe, but I need a board wipe that doesn't kill Selvala. So I think I want... No, I don't want to kill all my creatures. I think I want an Austere Command. because here's the thing, I need some sort of outlet. I need a way to just basically not die to giving them a ton of cards. And I don't think I can slow them down. I was thinking about like Thalia and other taxation effects, like a Sphere of Resistance. Let's look up Sphere of Resistance. Oh my gosh, look at all these spheres. There we go. Sphere of Resistance. Spells cost 1 more to cast and things like that, like Thalia. This Thalia, you know, non-creature spells cost 1 more to cast. I think Goddic Teague might be a good one as well. In fact, I might be able to just add Goddic Teague. Goddic Teague, non-creature spells versus horror player can't be played. Non-creature spells with X in it can't be played. Goddic Teague might be pretty good. Ooh. I want to play these. I want to play these artifacts. No. Goddic Teague might actually be good, but I don't want to go this route. And I do want to play all of those artifacts, so no. I know I have more mana ramp to put in. I know I have more mana creatures. I know I have more utility, and I need more finishers. In fact, I'm going to have a ton of mana. So I'm going to actually, if I'm thinking about some like taxation effects and I have a ton of mana, how about if I add a Void Winnower? The Void Winnower I like because it's super powerful. It's a 11/9, and your opponents can't cast spells with even converted mana costs. It's just disgusting. And it's hard for them to block. It's just so hard. So basically, if I'm giving them a bunch of cards, but they can only play half of them, that's pretty good. So I think Void Winnower, although quite mean, does belong in this deck. So it's a finisher, and it has sort of this limiting effect. I'm going to keep the Eldrazi in the back of my head too, to see if there's something I can use with them. Eldrazi. All right, I know there's a few things, but now before I start filling stuff in, now I'm finally going to go back over to EDHREC, and I'm going to see how I did. I'm going to see what I came up with and how it's good or not. All right, let's do it. Let's see what Selvala looks like. Manglehorn is the new card. It's only in 8 decks. I like Manglehorn, but I think I would definitely go with some more versatile ones because this only hits artifacts. Ooh, yes. Am I missing something? 8 decks. Same 8 decks? I don't know. No, I don't know. Yes. Interesting. So they are going that. Yes. I'm not going elves. Although these do match up quite nicely if you're going elves. Okay, I did have this. This is good. Reclamation Sage. I would have Reclamation Sage over Manglehorn. This is kind of in the back of my head, especially because Yisan can move up to it, that it could be really good. I might play Caustic Caterpillar because Yisan gets it first and Ranger of Eos gets it. So it's like a 1 mana elf if I have Cryptothrite on 2. Actually, that sounds really good. Let's Caustic Caterpillar. And this, I think this is the way that you need to think about it, because it didn't say Caustic Caterpillar, but I liked Caustic Caterpillar better. Basically, I spend a lot of time talking about staple cards in this section, cards that I could use a lot, like Swords to Plowshares. Green Sun Zenith is something that I could definitely use if I have enough green creatures. I'm going to go back and look and see how many green creatures I actually have. I'm going to keep that in the back of my mind. I do want it to be really useful and not have it only hit half of my creatures, especially if I'm playing like a utility build. I also think about Terastodon because it has the ability to answer some permanents that I might have trouble with. I also look at Mirror Entity because that can finish a game, kind of like Craterhoof Behemoth, but Craterhoof Behemoth is boring. I'm looking at a lot of these really good cards and I'm kind of analyzing them, but none of them are really standing out. Elves, this is the same as the Dramoka in my deck. I'll see if I'm actually, I think that Grand Abolisher is like a good card to sort of have in the back of your head, because I mean, it could be really important in your playgroup or it could just not be very important at all. Again, protection for your team. Dauntless Escort can be really good. Also, Heroic Intervention can be really powerful. This just depends on your meta as well. So notice how I'm like putting in I want to have like a woven tapestry of value. And Yisan giving me value like to a lot of these creatures could be really important, that I can work my way up and spend a lot of mana and get a lot of value. Remind me as well, I'm going to do this in a new tab to look at a Yisan deck. Also look at a Selvala Heart of the Wilds deck. Yeah, Quarter Calling is great. It's exactly what we want. Let's make sure to add Quarter Calling to this. Court of Calling. Let's add a Birthing Pod too, because it's basically a second copy of Yisan. Let's make sure to add something like a Acidic Slime. You're gaining life and doing that at the same time, so then the trigger comes on the stack. So yes, you can use Well of Lost Dreams, and that means that the gaining life little synergies that we have in other stuff is really good. So let's maybe add Well of Lost Dreams. Okay, I'm really liking the way that this deck is shaping up. It's taking me a while to complete, but I'm really liking it. I'm tempted as well to put this in and then Tooth and Nail maybe in something else. This seems really boring. Elish Norn, the Avenger of Zendikar, the creator of Behemoth. These all seem really powerful, but really boring to me. I'm going to put Enlightened Tutor in for sure, because I really want Elhammert's Archive and all of this other stuff. Like, I really want it. So let's put Enlightened Tutor. Priest of Titania might actually be good, and I don't want to go elf deck. I don't want to go elf. I really don't want to go elf deck, but it just is a 2 mana that taps for 1, and then a lot of the time it just taps for 2. Maybe I just am okay with it tapping for 2. Elf. I don't want it to be an elf deck. This is an elf 2. It's a fairy spirit elf. Another elf. I'm kind of glad that I don't go into EDHREC like immediately, because you just kind of get overwhelmed with these really good staple cards that could make a really good deck. But see, none of this stuff inspired me the way that I was before, like the sort of interesting synergies that I had. This is just all good stuff. And you can make good stuff decks, but I did not want to make a good stuff deck. Could this be a Lurking Predators deck? How many? I don't think what if this is a Lurking Predators deck? How many? Oh, I only have Genesis Wave, Harmonize, and by the way, Harmonize was one of the first things I threw in. Oh man, I could get unlucky, but maybe I'll just throw in Lurking Predators and just get a ton of stuff. Genesis Wave. Let's take out Harmonize. Let's take out Harvest Season. That's like too gimmicky, too cute. I will keep Enlightened Tutor. Maybe I'll just keep 3 instants and sorceries, and I'll add the Lurking Predators. Not only Lurking Predators, but I will keep... in fact, I don't even think I looked at it. Hang on, is it over here? No, I didn't even look at it. It's not just Lurking Predators that I was thinking of. I was thinking of... I'm good at this game. I think it's 8 green. Is it 8 green? I think it's an 8 green sorcery. Is that right? Yes! Primal Surge. Oh my gosh. I'm going to do Should I Primal Surge this deck? Yes. Oh, I like that a lot. Okay, let's get rid of that stupid... Harmonize is not stupid. I should not call it stupid, but it is not doing what I want it to do. I don't want to just draw a few cards. Harmonize. Okay. I don't care about that. And then Harvest Season is too gimmicky. I don't really care about that. I'm going to get lands other ways. But if I do take out a little bit of ramp, I might want to add something else in there. Maybe like maybe a mana elf or something like that. I don't know. I need to add a Soul Ring. I've gone this long and I haven't added a soul ring yet. See, this is the thing that EDHREC reminds me to do. Soul ring. I'm good at magic, guys. Soul ring. Add. I wonder how many people were just screaming at their computers for so long saying like, you should add a soul ring. Ewit needs a spot. Patron of the Orochi is legendary too. Maybe I can, maybe instead of, actually I'm going to do that. Okay. I know I'm not explaining things very well, but I'm taking out the Eternal Witness. Eternal Witness, get out of here. Get out of here, Eternal Witness. You are not as good as Skullwinder. I'm going to add Skullwinder instead because this is a little bit of group hug. I'll have that. But I'm going to add Patron of the Orochi. And just for the added benefit of maybe sometimes a little bit being able to snake offering, yes. I want to be able to snake offering. But I also, you know, here's the thing. I'm giving a bunch of people an advantage. And so sometimes I might want to actually have a Skullwinder instead. Now you'd think that that would be really bad. You're giving your opponent something, but this is a multiplayer commander. This is a multiplayer format. A lot of times you can be like, hey, you, we need a board wipe. So I'm going to get what I want and then you get the board wipe. So it's almost like you get 2 cards if you can convince your opponent to do what you want them to do. Patron of the Orochi can be flashed in with this Secure Tribe Elder, Secure Tribe Scout, and this Snake too, Skullwinder. And I'm going to add this as a finisher and as a way to flash in the Orochi mirror entity. Oh, I love it. I'm over the amount of cards we need now. Mirror Entity is like a finisher though, because like you can generate a bunch of mana and then just sink it into all these creatures. So it is totally a finisher. Ooh, Mom. Dude, Mom is good. Mom is good. I'm gonna add Mom. The reason why, because Mom is an easy 1-drop and then it also protects. Okay, this is mana-based crafter. And what it does is it just does a list of all of the mana, and sometimes you can remember, sometimes you can't. I'm not putting in a Savannah. I'm going to go Temple Garden, Fortified Village, Canopy Vista. So now I start talking about all of the different kinds of lands that you could have. This Riftstone Portal is actually really interesting. It provides perfect fixing if you can get into your graveyard. You can do that with a Dust Bowl or a Knight of the Reliquary. Actually, Knight of the Reliquary has a really cool tap ability, so I do think about adding it, but it's really expensive and it's more of a corner case card. Croson Verge is good. I like the on-color fetches. I love Temple of Plenty. The Scry lands are some of my favorites. I think scrying a land in Commander is really powerful. When you get to colorless lands, there's a lot of opportunities for good colorless lands and utility lands in this deck because it's only 2 different mana colors. There is a lot of green requirement. You want to have green early. Be very careful when building this mana base. Then I talk about legendary lands and how those have the ability to be fetched with some of our legendary fetchers. I contemplate having the artifact synergy of some of the artifact lands, but I'm like, no, that doesn't exactly work, even though I do want some of those artifacts. Then I geek out about Winding Canyons and Yavimaya Hollow because they're amazing. All right, I've added some lands. I'm up to 37 lands, which is a good round number, and I think it's okay, especially with the good amount of ramp I have in this deck. But I've now had a change of thought. I was really excited about Primal Surging this thing out, but Primal Surge doesn't do very much, and I think I want to go in a little bit of a different direction. I also had a second thought about Secure Tribe Scout. 1-drops are a little bit at a premium, but I think I want Sylvan Safekeeper instead. Remember how I said that it's really important to protect these critical creatures like a Yisan or your commander or the other Selvala. And I think I want Secure the Wastes in here. That's going to be an interesting way for me to kind of it could be a kill spell, and it could also be a ramp spell, which is really cool. So I'm going to add Secure the Waste, and I'm also going to search for... it's a sorcery. It's in green. It has X in its mana cost. Elf. In the Oracle. Is going to return so many. Just only 3? Wow. It's Sylvan Offering. I think I want this card too. I think this could be pretty cool in order to go along with Secure the Waste. A good place, an interesting place to put a lot of mana. It has this political effect to it. Yeah. So I should probably have like a Swords to Plowshares in here. I should probably have a Path to Exile. I should probably, like a Beast Within, I should probably have cards that deals with like creatures and stuff. I mean, at least have like a Terastodon I can fetch up with a Court of Calling to take out a Planeswalker or something like that. So I feel like this deck is very weak to a lot of stuff that I'm going to durdle around a bunch and it's not going to do stuff. So I need to find some cuts because I need to have a little bit more of a well-rounded deck. All right, this is the deck in its most current state. I want to give you a little rundown and tell you how I came about my last few changes. So one of the things that I did is I added Squirrel's Nest because, well, it goes infinite with Earthcraft, and I'm okay with having one infinite combo in case I face off against someone that's really powerful. I also added in Green Sun Zenith. I thought that it was useful enough to get the pieces that I need to put this deck together, even though it only gets about half of my cards. It's just fine. Then because I have Green Sun Zenith, I added Dryad Arbor. I also kind of like Dryad Arbor because it goes along with a card that I was a little bit concerned about, but I ended up adding anyway, the Secret Skybreak. It's untap target creature. Dryad Arbor gives a creature to untap so that this is more likely to tap for mana. I mean, it's fine if I have an Avacyn's Pilgrim or a Birds of Paradise on the battlefield, but I was a little bit worried that this sort of rampy creature wouldn't ramp me because it needs something else. So that's nice too. I also had this Mangara of Coronador. He's my removal. I'm really glad that I remembered him. He's legendary, so he's fetchable with all those legendary fetches. And he's a creature that essentially is a removal spell. I do have to wait a turn for him to be able to work. He goes away forever, but it's pretty great. One thing that's also really good is that you can do shenanigans with him. So for example, like I can tap him to kill something, and then with that on the stack, because it actually uses the stack because it's old, I can Seeker of Skybreak to untap him and then exile 2 things. So that's a nice little synergy going on there. So this is the point in time where I start testing the deck. It definitely needs testing because it has a lot of moving pieces. I want to make sure that the land and the ramp is right, that the card draw is right, and that it can actually kill an opponent. This is where we definitely need to tune it to your playgroup. This deck could be awful for your playgroup and you need a lot more disruption. So, I mean, I didn't even add the Trastodon I was thinking about. It does have, I did make sure to add Song of the Dryads to have one more thing to kind of interrupt at least a Planeswalker or something like that. So this is the testing phase that is entered, and hopefully this deck can kind of start growing in whatever direction I want it to go. And that is the whole process. Guys, this has been a crazy epic video. I'm doubting that anyone even finished this, but if you did, please comment and tell me if you liked this or you didn't like it. It took a really long time to record and an even longer time to edit as I listened to myself ramble for a really long time. So if this is something that you were really excited about and you learned a lot, please give me some feedback. And honestly, if you listened to it the whole way through and you didn't even like it, leave that feedback too, because this was kind of an experiment and it's really for you. And so I wanted to give you a little bit of insight onto how I think and how my process works. This has been Jumbo Commander. I'm not even going to do a spiel. Thanks for watching. Bye.